Today, on Energy Contact, we're going to look at something that Einstein and Gandhi have in common. They saw you not as a physical thing, but as invisible energy. This physical appearance, well, it's just a phase you're going through. So I hope you'll spend the next 30-minute phase of your life right here, because we're just about to separate the real from the unreal. It's coming up right now on Energy Contact.
I'm gonna drive away all these doubts I've been keeping and now keep my mind on better things. He ain't gonna worry and I ain't gonna complain. I'm gonna drive away all these doubts I've been keeping and now keep my mind on better things. Just keep my mind on better things.
Hello, and welcome to Energy Contact. My name is Joseph Willenbrink. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you to the production staff here in the studio for helping me get my message out to you. Energy Contact is a series that I'm presenting as a public service. It's about attaining perfect health, growth, self-improvement, happiness, and realizing your full potential. It's designed to present you a new way of seeing yourself and a new way of seeing the world around you. We're talking about things that have to do with making an energetic contact with yourself internally and with your environment. There's no difference between the body, the mind, the spirit, the emotion, the intellect, the ego. There's no difference between mass and energy. They're all the same thing. Goodness, there's something about us that loves to classify and categorize and put each of these things in their own little tiny segments, separate them, file them away. But all that health and growth and self-improvement that we're talking about take place actually when we do just the opposite. It happens when we smush them all together, when we make an energetic contact between the physical world and the unseen one. We're presenting on these programs a brand new paradigm that's thousands of years old. We're presenting extraordinary topics for ordinary people. And let's move right ahead with that. Let's bring up our slide. Everyone please understand that I am not a doctor. I don't want to be one. This show is not a medical advice show, a medical talk show, a medical anything show. We don't do anything medical here. Now I might call myself an energy healer or a chakra healer, things like that. So might a lot of other people. So might you if you come to me. But state, federal, and local governments absolutely do not. It's important to understand that. There's a lot of important information on your screen right now. Please read that, if you will, with your full attention. But when you've got it down, now would be a great time to locate a pencil and paper. Now here's why you want to do that. At the end of this program, we are going to roll some credits, and on those credits there's going to be contact information for me. Now I invite and encourage you to contact me. I'm sort of hoping something I have to tell you today will inspire you to want to do that. But in order to contact me, you're going to need that contact information. And in order to get that, you're going to need a pencil and paper. There'll be plenty of time to jot that stuff down when we roll the credits, if you have your pencil and paper ready. All right, let's come back up here. Today's show is show number 64. And if you're tuning in for the first time today, well, thanks. Thanks and welcome. I think you'll like the show. These shows are sequential. They build. So we're talking about things that we've introduced and defined in previous shows. There's some ramp-up stuff, some up-to-speed things that you will have missed out on. However, I do my very best to make sure that every show has a lot of value on a standalone basis. And you'll get a lot out of today's show. If, however, it is your first time watching, and if what you see piques your interest, well then I will invite and encourage you to look around, because there will be earlier shows airing at later times. They'll either be re-airing right here on this station, or they'll be on at different days and times in different areas. And if you look for them, I'll appreciate it. All right, and now it's the time of the show where I get to bring my co-host on camera. Let's get Slim on. This is my buddy Slim here, and Slim is here for a reason. Since we're investigating what it is that the energy contacts in the physical self, we have to understand a couple of things, don't we? We have to understand something about energy. And this program is certainly a program about energy. But all of that energy out there somewhere in some nebulous place does us no good whatsoever. It doesn't do us any good until we bring it into contact with something. Slim here is here to help us understand that thing that the energy contacts. Remember, a body without energy is just a corpse. And energy without a body, well, it might be a number of cool things, but none of them are human. Okay, previously on Energy Contact, we have seen that energy needs to flow through us, just like blood does, just like nerve signals do, like anything else like that. We are alive as long as our body can promote the flow of invisible energy through our physical structure. And when we cease to be able to do that, we die. So it stands to reason then, if we can move more energy more efficiently, we are more alive. We've seen that energy flows through us. It travels through a pathway called the Sushumna Nadi. It's sort of a main blood vessel, like an aorta for chi, the Sushumna Nadi. And on this Sushumna Nadi are things called chakras. Now those are the pipes and the gates, but what really controls the energy flow? Well, that is your mind, and it pervades every cell of your body. Every cell in you has intelligence. And so the subconscious mind then is the body intellect. That body intellect we've been talking about forever. The same materials in your brains that give you thought, reason, recall, memory, logic, intellect, intelligence, all of those things that you were always told were brain things. They are in fact in every cell of our body, all trillions of them. They permeate, saturate every cell of our body. And so physically, we are built, we're manufactured by our own mind, by our body intellect. Now we've seen that the mind tends to take the shape and form of whatever it is upon which it is focused. So, people who focus on better things feel better. You've always sort of known that happy people are healthier more often than depressed people are. And if you've been watching Energy Contact, you know why. But it's the mind, it's that body intellect that does it. And it functions when we are at peace. Only. If we flow, things go great. And we have peace. But when we inhibit flow, we find pain and chaos. And when we find pain and chaos, we inhibit flow. And so we get caught in this sort of vicious cycle that really leads us nowhere. Now, whereas that pain is resistance to flow, peace, as we have seen, is always pleasant. It's always pleasurable. It's always healthy. And it always feels good. Okay, so the Sushumna Nadi is the pipeline, and the chakras are the things that either promote the flow or crimp it off. And it's the mind that opens and closes the chakras, and it's the body intellect that opens and closes the mind. And that brings us to today. Today, we want to start to understand a little bit more about the working of the chakras themselves. The goal is health, growth, self-improvement, happiness, and realizing your full potential, your true self. Opening the chakras is not the goal. It's important to know that. It's just a means to that end. It's a way to get there. But in order to achieve the level of self-realization we seek, we need to move invisible energy through our physical structure. In fact, it is difficult, if not absolutely impossible, to be a healthy person, a happy person, a spiritual person, whatever, until we master the art of moving invisible energy through our physical structure. And those chakras, somehow, they're involved in that process. It's in how they either promote the flow or inhibit it. We want to understand how. And we want to understand how, if body, mind, spirit, and emotion, if they're all the same things, if mass and energy are exactly the same, how is it that they look so different? And if it is an illusion, what can we do to get past it? It is the physical part that's the unreal part. The physical part is just a hologram of sorts of this invisible but very real energetic world. It's a specter. It's an illusion. It's the energetic world of wavelengths and frequencies and pulses. That's all that's real. Today, as we look at that, we're going to get a little bit out there, a little ethereal, a little trippy, and we're going to skip around a bunch. But please stay with me, because we're going to see that all this etherical, mystical stuff is in fact very scientific. And we're going to tie all of our loose ends together by the time we're done. We're laying a final groundwork for a more in-depth understanding of chakras and Kundalini energy, and what it has to do with your health, growth, self-improvement, and the realization of your full potential. All right, so that's where we're headed. But first, we've got a moment to kick back for a second. Take a deep breath, because we have arrived at the part of the show where we get to pause and take our virtual field trip, our journey in our mind's eye. Today, we're going to visualize that we're in some medical library somewhere, and we're studying the effects of steroids on people. We're viewing case histories and looking at a lot of before and after pictures. Before and after pictures of people who've taken steroids. And as you look at them, you wonder, where did all of that bulk come from? It didn't come from those pills. Those pills weigh a couple of grams. And that these people make these massive changes. It's the same person, and for the most part, the same diet, the same lifestyle, yet they look so different. And that makes you wonder, which one of those two people is real? Is it the before picture person, or is it the after picture person? Maybe it's both, maybe it's neither, or maybe it's that poor soul who later suffers the long-term devastating effects of having taken these steroids. Okay, as we head out of the building, as it happens, we walk past the weight loss area, and we meet a man who tells us that he lost 200 pounds. 200 pounds. Whoa, that's a whole person. But where did it go? Where did those 200 pounds go? Hold that thought. Einstein told us that mass is exactly the same as energy. They're not similar, they're not related, one doesn't lead to the other. They're exactly the same. Furthermore, he showed that everything that has a physical presence is mostly holes and empty space. Just bags of nothing. The whole concept of physical appearance is just that. It's just an appearance. It's a hologram. Now this research, along with his famous equation, E equals mc squared, this was all published in Einstein's Special Theory of Relativity. It was published in 1905. It's the most important piece of science that was ever done by anybody, anywhere, anytime in history. Why? Because it clearly showed that all the things that we can see are made up entirely of things that we can't see. And so, a couple hundred years ago, that was mysticism. And we see that yesterday's mysticism is today's science. Einstein proved scientifically what the old yogis knew 10,000 years ago. And what's that? You ready? There really is no mass. There's no such thing. We'll come back to that. But what it means for us now is that the better you let energy flow through your physical self, the more healthy you will be. You've got to move energy, the real stuff that you cannot see, through the body, the unreal stuff that you can see. Remember, there's no difference. They're exactly the same. It's like ice and water and steam. They look different. Our senses perceive them differently. They seem like different things to us, but they're exactly the same. You know why? Because there is no ice, there is no steam, and there is no water. There's only H2O. Let's go right from there to a slide. We're going to see what Gandhi has to say about all this. My friend and yours, Gandhi, said this: your beliefs become your thoughts. Your thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your values. And your values become your destiny. Well, that's profound. Just understanding that will change your life. But he doesn't say anything about the body there, does he? Here's how the body fits into that. Every belief, every thought, every word, every action and value become your body. They metabolize in to every cell of your body. And your body is the tool you use to walk through your destiny. All right, let's come back up here. You're thinking, but wait, how can that be if the physical is unreal? Well, it's the mind. It's the body intellect that's making it all happen. I told you we were going to get trippy today, and here's the next one. The mind isn't real either. So all of this, as far out as it is elementary science. It should have been taught to you in the 4th grade, and we're going to see if we can't make it a little more simple. So even though the body is the same as the mind and the emotions and the spirit, it undergoes a phase change. In other words, you can think of it like this. Even though ice is exactly the same as water, is exactly the same as steam, it has to undergo what appears to be a change as it transitions from one phase to another. It's not changing what it is, it's only changing its phase. Now this is an interface we want to understand because in it is a key to understanding what chakras have to do with your physical and emotional selves. It has to do with why it is so difficult, if not absolutely impossible, to be a spiritual person, a healthy person, a happy person, until and unless you master the flow of invisible energy through your physical self. All right, but wait a minute again. If Einstein's work is so intelligent and so simple, why hasn't it changed our lives? Why aren't we all perfectly healthy by now? Well, this is for the same reason that people didn't get healthy from what the yogi said, because nobody is really listening. It's that simple. Do you know when Einstein received his Nobel Prize for his special theory of relativity, the most important piece of science done by anybody anywhere? Never. Everybody in the scientific community just looked down their nose at it. They condescended it. They figured out they were going to disprove it as the nonsense that it was any day now. Right. That frozen steam that Einstein explained so clearly. Most people, including people who study Einstein, who use his theories daily, who teach his theories daily, are either unable or unwilling to consider. What's up with that? All right, at the same time Einstein was changing the world of physics, medical scientists like Salk and Pasteur, they were hard at work too. They were making great discoveries, but they were using the old model. Remember, Einstein's stuff was disregarded at this point. Now, medicine in the 1800s had come up with something called germ theory. Germ theory is the reason for all those prescriptions that you're taking or that your friends are taking. The big pill dollars, the TV commercials you're bombarded with, all basically came from germ theory. Now, they make pills, ostensibly, to make you feel better. But there's only one reason you make TV commercials. That's to make money. Think about that. Let's get back to germ theory. We know that germ theory is valid. Germs exist, and we know that there are all sorts of outside little microbic invaders that attack us. But you know what else? It's also very convenient when it's taken to the extreme, because it means you don't have to do any work on yourself. And we have taken it to the extreme. Anything that happens, it's not your fault. You didn't do it. You aren't responsible for anything. It's all right. You just need a pill. Or maybe a little elective surgery. Comforting? Well, not really, because this is also very disempowering. It means that your health, your growth, your self-improvement are completely outside of your control. They're random. It's just a roll of the genetic dice. And if you feel bad, and the pills can't fix it, too bad. Okay, what does this have to do with chakras and auras and with Einstein and Gandhi? That's where we're headed today. Germ theory tells us that all of our problems are outside of us. And when they come in, we kill them. Or we get a surgery and get somebody to yank them out. Your doctor is not working for you. He's working against your enemy. What's wrong with that, huh? It's not so bad. Sometimes we need somebody to work against our enemy. And that is why I love doctors, because they are going to stop the things that hurt you. But as it goes on, we start doing this. We start separating and categorizing. We take our body to a doctor, we take our brain to school, we take our spirit to a church, we take our emotions to a shrink, and one day we wake up in the middle of the night all distraught because we feel so torn apart and we don't know why. If Einstein and Gandhi are right, and if there is no mass, then all of our troubles are inside of us, and all of our solutions are inside of us, even the solutions to those outside invaders. But they don't really exist. There's nothing outside of us. All the work to be done is to be done by ourselves, on ourselves. We're our own healer, our own doctor. It's our responsibility, and it's even our blame. But that's good news, because that makes it within our power to change it. All right, let's get back to the phase change thing. Some people say the way we look is random. It is the luck of the genetic draw. But on Energy Contact, we're seeing ourselves a little bit more accurately than that. Let's bring up a slide of some folks. See these fellas here? Do you think that's random? Do you think they built themselves randomly? Let me ask you another question. Do you think you know something about their personalities just by looking at that picture of them? I do. These folks worked long and hard to build themselves. And they are very, very proud of what they created. But see how tightly they're holding themselves? How are you going to get any chi through that? How are you going to move any energy through all that tension? One day these folks might wake up and they'll be 45 years old and they'll discover that they've got hemorrhoids and a heart condition. And they'll say, how could this happen to me? I've taken such good care of myself. Did they take care of themselves? Maybe not. Let's come back up here. Here's another question. When they built themselves, what did they use? What are the building materials? What are the bricks? Well, I'll tell you what they are. They're nothing. They're absolutely nothing. These guys are composed of exactly the same materials as a 98-pound weakling. They may be pumped up, but here's something else. They're energetically emaciated because they're not moving energy. Now, they might take great exception to the fact that I'm calling them emaciated. They look pretty bulky, but I'm sticking to it. Not only that, but their chemical composition is just about the same as that of a puddle of gasoline, a flower, a table, a tree, all sorts of things. And it's 99.99999% nothing. There's more nines than that. They're nothing, just like you and I are. Think of it in the same context as you think of it when I tell you that ice and water and steam are the same. We know that they are. We can get a saucepan and a freezer and prove it. But still, there's something about it that defies our senses. And so, how do we appear so differently? How do we all appear to be built so differently one from another? And for that matter, how do we gain weight and lose it, get healthy, get sick, get happy, get sad, get hurt, get anything? How do we do all these things? What is it that orchestrates all that? Well, hang on. First, let's see some more folks. Let's bring up a slide here. See these guys here? They, like you and me, and like our bodybuilders, built their bodies to their own specifications. They're creations of their own minds, their own body intellects. If you know someone that looks like that fellow there, you know that it's far more than their body that is rigid. That rigid body is just a projection of a rigid belief system, of rigid attitudes and values and so on and so forth. The body's just the result of it. See that deflated woman there? She is the product of a deflated psyche, a deflated spirit. Can you see that? Let's move right ahead. How about these next folks here? Do you think they're moving any chi? Do you think that when they built themselves, they constructed some obstacles into their nature? How do you know that that man is angry? How do you know that that woman is depressed? Because they're wearing it on every cell of their body, that body intellect that their mind created. Let's move ahead again. See, these folks here, All of them. A billion different minds will create a billion different bodies in a billion different ways. And do you know what else permeates every cell of their body? The body intellect. And in a perfect world, that body intellect wants to move Kundalini energy through the Sushumna Nadi. All right, let's come back here. Don't let me bring you down with all that stuff. We want to get to there, from there, to an understanding of the chakras. And that brings us to our story of Shakti. Remember her? Shakti had this boyfriend named Shiva, and her story is an analogy for how we move energy through us. She wants to be reunited with this fellow very badly, but she's very far away from him, and in order to find him, she has to go on a journey. Now that journey takes her through channels, through pipelines, and in order to complete it, she has to figure out how to get past obstacles. But there's another problem. She has to transcend some things that feel very real, but are not. And that brings us to our Sushumna Nadi. Let's take a look at that. Let's bring up that slide. This Sushumna Nadi is a pipe. You see the thing on the left of your screen there? The Sushumna Nadi is the skinny little white pipe in the middle of that. It's the pipe through which Kundalini Shakti must travel, and upon which is located 6 of the 7 chakras. It functions a little like that medical thing, and that's what that's doing there. And it runs along a pipe that is roughly equivalent to your spine. But remember, according to Gandhi and Einstein, there is no spine. Now those little circles there are the chakras, and opening up those chakras are not the goal. They're the means to another goal. All right, let's come back here. All of us, in a metaphoric but in a very real way, want to get that Shakti in us to wake up, to break out of her cage that is the pelvis, to rise up the Sushumna and be reunited with Shiva. Let's go from there and take just a second to look at this Gandhi quote again before we go. When I looked at this before, I mentioned that there was nothing in there about the body. Well, Gandhi, like Einstein, knew that there was no body. All right, let's come back up here. There is no body, and that is good news. That's very good news, because it means that you are not your body. And knowing that, it means that you aren't limited by it. You're eternal, you're limitless, you're boundless. And you might not know just what to do with that yet, but I can tell you that your chakra, your Sushumna Nadi, and your energy field have something to do with that. You don't own your body. You don't even rent it, but you are responsible for its proper care. And you will fear direct and perhaps severe consequences if you don't do a pretty good job of it. All right. Einstein left another thing out of his equation. Here's another reason we don't have it all figured out yet. Einstein left out consciousness. And when we find consciousness, we might just understand everything. So, the fun's just starting, folks. Please join me next time, and we're going to go deeper into all this. Until then, I wish you peace and positive energy, and a healthy life in Energy Contact.
Just keep my mind on better things.